Why did this car survive? It's interesting that sometimes you come across a car that was intended, maybe not officially, but unofficially, as a starter car, or a cheap entry into a brand. The Chevrolet Cavalier and the Pontiac Sunfire were just those cars. In hopes that one day buyers of these cars would come back in the future and maybe upgrade, or even, when at the dealership, the old bait and switch tactic could hold true. Yeah, for 15 grand you could get into this car no problem, but for about $1,000 more, you could step up to the Malibu or the Grand Am. Bigger car, more standard features, and so on and so forth. So this car has survived for 19 years and counting. Well, believe it or not, for what it's worth, the J-body cars were pretty well built for what they were. Solid, rigid construction, decent fit and finish, a good power team selection, and good quality interior were hallmarks of these cars. Indeed, even today, sitting in the Sunfire, while it's typically late 90s, early 2000s GM, it's not bad and everything works exactly as it should. Granted, this car only has 95,000 miles on it, so at an annual average of just 5,000 miles per year, it's not surprising. The Sunfire ran alongside its Chevrolet stablemate, the Cavalier, for the entirety of its production run. While the Cavalier was always known as that, the Sunfire used to be called the Sunbird and ran from 1982 to 1994. For the 1995 model year, GM extensively updated the J platform for rigid 1996 safety standards and changed the name as well as the styling. During its 10-year production run, the Sunfire saw 3 facelifts, but only ran for one single generation, ultimately being replaced by the much more sterile and boring Pontiac G5 for the 2006 model year.
Hello everyone. In today's latest installment of the in-depth review series, we are taking a very detailed look at this very nice surviving example of a 2005 Pontiac Sunfire. Not many of these are hard to find in nice condition, and I was really fortunate to find this one here at Hobson Ford in Bedford, Indiana. This is just a base level car, but it does have the 1SB option package. It is painted in sport red metallic, and it features the graphite ridge cloth interior. I was able to pull the window sticker for this car, so full pricing is shown on screen. And in the description box, you do have the full options list breakdown. And there's quite a few on this car. It's pretty nicely equipped for its age. Now, as stated before, today's review is going to be a full in-depth review. We're going to cover everything from the exterior to the interior, performance, economy, and everything else in between. Now, I've always liked the Pontiac Sunfire. It is the Pontiac version of the Chevrolet Cavalier. The Cavalier was more of an understated car, while the Sunfire is more of the sporty one.
Of course, the J-body cars are front-wheel drive, and power comes from a quite competent, naturally aspirated L61 Ecotec 2.2-liter dual overhead cam 16-valve inline 4-cylinder engine. This engine was produced using the lost foam casting process and is of aluminum block and head construction with sequential port fuel injection and a 10.0 to 1 compression ratio. This engine creates 140 horsepower at 5,600 RPM and 150 pound-feet of torque at 4,000 RPM. The Sunfire can accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 9.2 seconds. 0 to 100 miles per hour comes in at 28.2 seconds, with a quarter mile hitting in at 16.8 seconds at 83 miles per hour. Top speed is limited to 110 miles per hour. The Sunfire is equipped with a 14 US gallon fuel capacity, and it consumes 4 gallons per 100 miles driven, with an estimated total driving range of 350 miles. EPA fuel economy ratings are 21 miles per gallon in the city, 31 miles per gallon on the highway, and a combined average of 25 miles per gallon. And while a 5-speed manual transmission was standard equipment, the 1SB option package this car has comes equipped with the electronically controlled 4-speed turbo hydromatic 4T40E automatic with a 3.91 axle ratio.
The only real issue I see is just a little bit of a ding back here. You got some panel dent here, the bumper misalignment, tail lamp, all that kind of stuff there, trunk misalignment. But other than that, this car has actually fared very well over the past 20 years. All right, now as I do in all my videos, I'm going to cover the rear end styling in depth, but as you can see here, it is a very nice sporty design back here. A very nice sharply flowing deck lid. Just has a really sporty, aggressive look back here. Most of the back end of cars are boring, but not this one. Alrighty, around the rear of the Sunfire, with the last generation in its final phase of design, probably is the most aerodynamic back here, and I would say probably the best looking. However, there are some aspects of it that I wish still remain from the first generation, and a lot still do. Basically, the doors and this window treatment here are pretty much carryover. Has a nice little fixed hardtop look to it, although it is just part of the body. Now, the previous owner did put window tinting on here, and it's starting to bubble, but the dark tint looks really good. One thing I really like is where the spoiler is. It's not on the back of the deck lid, it's actually basically at the base of the window. Nice big flat blade style, and does curve pretty sharply underneath, and it does very nicely hide the third brake light. It'd be really hard to clean up in there, and I've done cars with spoilers before, and getting all the soap out of here is really hard. But overall, the look of that spoiler, really good. And as you come down the very steeply sloping deck lid, goes into all transparent red. We do have red turn indicators, stop lamps, tail lights, no colored amber lenses back here. You have a keyhole here for the trunk. Your reverse lights are right on the either side of the license plate. Here we have the Pontiac logo, and on the first generation, this is all black plastic, and the Pontiac logo actually lit up at night. Down here in the bumper, you do have the Sunfire logo. Very nice and pointy back here. The rear bumper comes to an end of this crease here. And down below, you do have that bright tipped exhaust. Just overall, I really think the back end styling of the Sunfire, which on most cars would be otherwise bland, actually has some character to it. All right, as we walk along the profile of the car, really do like the shape of this car. It's a small car. Full dimensions are on screen, as you can see below. The proportions are right though. The car actually has a really good proportionate look to it.
Steering on this car is hydraulic power assisted rack and pinion with 2.66 turns lock to lock and a 35.6 foot turning radius with a 14.7 to 1 steering ratio. Wheels on this car are 15 by 6.5 inch cast aluminums and are shot in P195/65 R15 Goodyear Reline all season tires. Brakes are hydraulic power assisted front disc rear drums. ABS was optional, but it was not fitted to this particular car.
All right, just as we did in the rear, we're going to do the same thing up front, cover the front in detail. But just a quick look here before we go into that. Very nice. You can tell it's a Pontiac for sure. Just like the styling of this car. It's very clean, very understated, but yet very sporty and kind of aggressive in a Firebird way, but not quite. All right, taking a look up front. Now, while I think all the Sunfires look really good, in my opinion, I think this generation is probably the best looking. It's probably the most aggressive looking and a little bit more understated. Actually kind of looks more like a Grand Am, really. But really nice body lines here. You got the gloss black plastic mirrors, the flow over doors coming into this nice little fender with this nice little crease right here. And it kind of divides out into a V where the hood goes all the way down to the headlamps and the turn indicators. Headlamps are very simple, just clear acrylic plastic lenses, polished housings and bezels, and they're just halogen headlamps. You got the high beams in here, low beams, your inset mounted turn indicators. You also have the honeycomb grille up in the front with the Pontiac logo. And of course, our car is fitted with fog lamps and kind of the odd alternating flash of the front indicators that GM cars had at this era. Now down below has kind of a GT look to it, even though this car is not a GT, it's just a standard Sunfire, but it's a pretty nice aggressive looking economy car. All right, so one nice feature that this car does have is a remote keyless entry. Now before we get inside, let's take a look and see what we get for keys. We have the standard GM, now double-bladed key fob. It is just a standard GM key, small rubber head, GM logo, no Pontiac, nothing like that. And then, of course, we also have the remote fob. It is a standard GM remote. We have lock, unlock, the trunk release, and our panic alarm. And let's take a look and see what we have inside. Inside this car is actually very nice. It's very well preserved. It's in great condition. Opening up the nice wide opening doors, as you can see. We do have the ridge cloth sport bucket seats with height adjustable head restraints. We've also got our A or B pillar mounted seat belts that go through the guide. Very roomy, very comfortable, very Pontiac interior. All right, taking a look at the door panel. As you can see, because it's a two-door, the door panel is very long. We have some nice materials here. We have that same ridge cloth here on the upper portion of the door, a padded armrest here. Everything else is hard plastics though. This car does have power locks, but it does not have power mirrors or power windows. It has manual windows here. You just crank that down and the windows roll down. Much like that 2005 Ford Focus I just reviewed. Door pulls here, the locks, premium upgrade speakers with the tweeters. Nice little detailed design there. Goes into these little storage pockets at the rear end part of the car. But we have this carpet material up front. This is your fuse access and a huge daddy long legs. Yikes. Anyway, headlamp controls are on the stalk. Fog lamp controls here. Instrument panel brightness and dim. We do have the tilt wheel. We have these really nice circular air vents. Hood releases here. Electronic trunk releases here. And only 2 pedals in the footwell, indicating that this is just an automatic transmission car. It does have the floor mats, manual fore and aft part of the seat adjustment, seat back recline here. All right, let's take a look at the seats now. Now, as I stated before, the seats are kind of a sporty bucket seat, height adjustable head restraints, and the seats have this really nice grippy texture cloth, and they also have pretty aggressive bolstering actually. They wouldn't look out of place in probably a basic Firebird without the Trans Am, but overall they're very comfortable. All right, now let's check out the rest of the interior. Alrighty, painting through the interior, going to show more details. Hydraulically assisted power steering on just a neoprene wrapped steering wheel. It's a 2-spoke design. No cruise control in this car, but we have kind of a unique little 2-spoke design here with these open cutouts here, airbag cover, Pontiac logo. And then looking straight ahead, we do have our 4-way flash arrow switch. On the left-hand side, we have headlamp controls to stay before, turn indicators, high beams, and flash to pass. Over on the right-hand side, we do have our wiper washer controls. And down below, we do have our cigarette lighter. Does not appear this car has been smoked in. It actually smells very clean in here. Overall appearances mean this car was taken really nicely care of. All right, taking a look, we have a very traditional Pontiac style instrument cluster. It just has the basic readouts. It doesn't have oil temperature or oil pressure or volts. So motor week would be at a loss here. But what we do have is a nice Pontiac styled instrument cluster. We have our temperature gauge, 7,000 RPM tach, 110 mile per hour speedometer, and fuel gauge and assorted warning lights. At the time of the recording, this vehicle currently has 95,030 miles on it. And of course, tradition to Pontiac, everything was red backlit. All right, moving over the top of the dash. The dash has actually fared well over time. This is a nice spongy, soft touch material and hard plastic at the base of the windshield. But as you can see, the dash is not split, warped, cracked, or anything like that. It's in really good shape. Has a very nice design to it with those round air vents. Nice large locking glove box. Tons of storage inside. Taking a look here, more positional air vents here, and I like how they have these bumps here to kind of highlight that tubular look. And traditional also to Pontiac is a huge crease divide between the upper and lower dash panels. That was very Pontiac styling back in the 90s and 2000s. Now what we do have here is an upgraded audio system. AM FM CD player. It does have MP3 readback, and it has the red display here, adjustable equalizer, all that kind of stuff. So really nice little audio system there. Down below, of course, this car is equipped with air conditioning. You got your fan speed, temperature, panel distribution with recirculate, the AC mode button here, and the rear defroster button there. Up here you have a nice little storage tray, 2 front cup holders, of course the automatic transmission, the actual pull-up handbrake, which is nice, odds and ends tray, nice little armrest here that does open up to reveal a decent amount of storage inside and some coin slots as well. There is no power point inside though. One nice feature though is the lid goes all the way back just like that. You do forego your armrest up front, but the rear passengers gain 2 cup holders. So that's a nice little convenience feature there. One nice thing, on the passenger side right here, you do have a 12 volt power point here. So you're not completely without some kind of connection. And then of course, the cigarette lighter could also be used as a power point as well. So effectively you have 2 12 volt power points inside this car. So overall, has the Sunfire held up over time? I'd say it has, but it doesn't have a lot of the modern amenities that most people are accustomed to, even in small cars. There is no Bluetooth or anything like that, so concessions would have to be made, but this car is a really nicely economical car, and as a result, it'd be a good little commuter car for back and forth to work or whatever. Overhead, we have a manually dimming rearview mirror, and it does include 2 reading lights at the bottom of the mirrors by flipping those switches there. And you'll also note this button here. This car is equipped with a sunroof, which is really nice. We have fold down vanity mirrors, non-illuminated visor mirrors, and the sun visors swing out, but they do not slide. So you can see there's a large portion of uncovered window there. The seat belts are not high adjustable, but they do go through these little guides here. That does aid in comfort and position, and also aids in rear seat access. All right, speaking of the rear seats, let's take a look at those now. Open up the main door. To get to the back of the back seat, you lift up on this little lever here, this little latch. The seat back folds forward. As you can see, the seat belts do create kind of a door. And here is the rear seat. Now the rear seat does seat 3 across. It'd be very tight, but it does have 3-point belts for all seating positions. It is a 60-40 split folding seat. It does have that same cloth as the front seats do. Integrated head restraints in the backs of the outboard seats. You've also got the little stick-up portions there for the top tether and anchors for your child seats. But you'll notice the lack of an armrest back here. But the outboard seats do have molded armrest in the side panels. Decent amount of legroom back here. No mat pockets in the backs of the seats. No air vents or anything like that. No power points. But here's a look at those cup holders back here. All right, to fold the seats is cumbersome. First, we open the trunk. We're just going to pop the trunk with the button here. Then, once we're inside the trunk, we find these 2 little loop straps here. Those will unlatch the seat backs. Then we come back to the car and pull the seat cushions forward. As you can see, they do fold in a 60-40 split folding seat pattern. It does provide extra luggage capacity and greatly increases the versatility of this car. To put the seats back, you just pop them back into their place and they'll automatically latch. All right, there are 3 ways to open the trunk. I've shown one earlier with the seats, but you can press this button here on the lower portion of the driver's side dashboard. You can also approach it from the rear, stick your key in the keyhole, and then we turn to the right, and that'll unlatch the trunk. Or we could press and hold the trunk release button on the key fob. As you can see, it does pop open, but we'll open it up the rest of the way here. As you can see, a very nice wide opening 90-degree trunk, huge dogleg hinges that do impede in the cargo area, so you have to be careful of that when loading luggage. As you can see, it does not have any kind of lining in the trunk lid, but we do have an emergency escape handle here in the unfortunate event that someone is trapped in the car. Fully weather lined, of course, fully carpeted. And actually back here is not a horrible amount of space considering the size of this car. It does have some wheelhouse intrusion, but overall, it is a pretty standard trunk. Now underneath there, of course, you have your compact spare tire with jack and tools. And then to close the trunk, we're just gonna close it just like this. And there you go. Alrighty, there you have it, the 2005 Pontiac Sunfire. Once again, thanks to Hobson Ford in Bedford, Indiana for allowing me to film this car. We hope you found the video informative, and if you did, please comment down below. Also, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/neighborhoodcarreviews and our Instagram channel at BrentsOJ1. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.